Right. Wait a minute. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I had sound effects queued up. I was ready to go, and we're still ready to go, but I had to make a last-minute move there, starting a little bit early, but nonetheless, ready to go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a great show for you. I was sitting here thinking, what did I forget? And I just forgot to move the sound bank over. That's all. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. We got a great show for you today. We got a lot to talk about. So write down that phone number, 253-263-1540. Good morning. We are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. We are ready.
Hey now.
Thank you, Ellis. Thank you. I'm sitting here like, well, let's just start the show. I'm early. So then I started the show and I was like, wait a minute. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's the one thing I don't necessarily care for about this system is the way I have to move my audio sound bites back and forth from page to page. Good morning, 253-263-1540. Last night on the live was quite the experience. And I also think it was a lot of fun, but it was one of those, oh my gosh, we're just going with this. Let's go with this. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. And it was a good time. I mean, Colleen, who's a sponsor here on the podcast, sent some Pampered Chef stuff. So we did a bit of a baking live. And then Ellis calls in. And, we're in the middle of this baking live. We're having a good time. We're laughing about everything. And then Ellis calls in, to promote his brand, as it were. And what a brand it is. A lot of fun. Very appreciative for what this audience has not just supported, but provided in terms of room for growth. So thank you for that. And to that point, I am using the AI voice recorder from last night's live. So I very much look forward to the notes, the minutes from today's radio presentation. 253-263-1540. Good morning, everybody. We are live on TikTok. We are live on Instagram. The TikTok ban is something that has caused a lot of confusion, not just amongst the audience or any audience on TikTok, but also amongst creators on the app. And I was in New York. About 2 weeks ago. And we talked about a lot of things at TikTok headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. Good morning, everybody. Generally speaking, the idea of the app going away, it's unlikely. Now, let's just say that it were to go away. What does that look like? It is not the kind of thing where if somehow we get into the new year and the ban is upheld, it doesn't mean that they just shut it off and it all goes away. The first thing that will happen is, and we talked about this at TikTok headquarters with TikTok executives about the future of the app. The first thing that will happen is that you will no longer be able to get the app from the App Store. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you have more than one device, ensure that you have the app installed on multiple devices. What is that going to do? That's going to allow you, in a situation of perhaps needing a device upgrade, maybe losing a device, maybe unfortunately breaking a device, that's going to give you backup. Now, usually when an app goes away, in my experience, you can still download it. But with the ban, from my understanding, that obviously wouldn't be an option. So having the app installed on more than one device is a great way to bridge that gap. Because if something were to happen on one device and you can't now delete the app and download the app, maybe you have it somewhere else. That's number one. Number two, updates to the app will be throttled by it no longer being on the store. So over time, as the app requires updates, and those updates won't be available to U.S. users, theoretically, the app will start to slowly break down. The app isn't going to just disappear. If you have the app on your phone, you'll be able to get on TikTok. The idea that the TikTok ban is going to just shut TikTok off and it goes away is, from my understanding and from the mouth of TikTok executives, is a false notion. Over time, it will fall apart because you won't be able to update it. It'll get slowed down, it'll get bogged down, etc. So this, number one, this isn't the kind of thing that's going to happen overnight if it does happen. Number two, most TikTok executives, most folks at TikTok are going to tell you that it's not going to happen. Now, if I own the app, I would want to convey a message of positivity, but I also, to my creators and to my staff, would want to be somewhat honest and transparent. Now, I get to a certain extent, you don't want people jumping ship and everything falling apart. But if you know you're not going to sell and you know the only other option is an unconstitutional ban, perhaps you feel really good about the future of the app. So what I'm suggesting is you're not going to have it just taken away. It's going to leave the App Store first, right? So now what is that going to all do? Well, if over time the app is going to degrade, the user experience is going to degrade because you're not going to be able to update it, then it buys time for possibly another resolution. And it keeps throwing me off because every time I look over on TikTok, I'm looking in the back corner right now, and I'm seeing something in the back corner which looks like a crying cat emoji to me. And then I look back and I realize it's just something on the side of this box in the background, and it's driving me nuts. So if TikTok were to go away, it would be a very, 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 very slow unraveling. And I just think the benefit of time is all we really need. I think the new administration, at the moment anyway, will be favoring keeping the app. Now, those decisions are predicated on a whim, so we'll see. But I don't think there's cause for panic. I don't think anybody needs to worry if you have the app downloaded, if you have a second device with the app on it. I don't think you have to worry about anything in the immediate as pertaining to a ban. Now, one of the concerns that people have about TikTok is privacy, privacy, privacy. And I maintain, in the age of Amazon devices and Google devices and Siri, that we've already given up all of our privacy. And oftentimes you'll find that you'll purchase something or you'll be talking to a friend about something in a chat, maybe even on the phone, and then you get off that phone call, you leave that conversation, you open up Facebook, you open up Instagram, and there's an ad for that product. So I'm talking to Leah. Now, last night we were doing a segment, we were hanging out, and Leah, who I absolutely adore, just, and the funny thing is I've never even met Leah, right? I've just gotten to know Leah from, doing the stream and her being in the audience and her helping us because there's a group of people that help me. And one of the things that Leah and I used to talk about was Fortnite and gaming and adding that to the channel. We've been doing that for quite some time. One of the other things Leah and I have been talking about, we're streaming right now on TikTok. We're streaming on YouTube. We've talked about streaming on Twitch. Okay, fine. Where's he going with all this? I thought we were talking about ads being served up. Stick with me. By the way, I want somebody to call in and share your experiences with me when we talk about these kind of ads and these open mic situations. 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. So I'm talking to Leah about the different things I want to do with the channel and how we play Fortnite with the audience, but I want to do something. I want something that's more accessible. Not everybody's going to play Fortnite. I want to do something that's more accessible. It's a phone call. I want to do something that's more accessible for everybody to play, kind of like trivia. So we're talking about trivia options. And then Leah says, on Twitch, we're going to go to the phone. Stick with me. Let me just finish the story, and then I'll go right to you. So she says on Twitch, they have this game. It's like a digital marble run. And everybody in the chat gets their name on a marble and yada, yada, yada. It's super interactive. It's super easy, but you have to be on Twitch and you got to be in the platform. Okay, cool. We should try that out. That was like yesterday. This morning, I open up TikTok and it's showing me a live of people in their living room with a giant table doing a marble run. You're on the air. Who's this? How weird is that?
Hey, good afternoon. Rob from Jersey.
Rob, how weird is that?
Very weird. And it's very interesting when scrolling through. You have the different content, people trying to make money, and it's just strange compared to actual valuable content to take back. But love your new format here. And I love that $6 Dunkin' that you're showing right now. We need to get them as a sponsor for you.
Wait, who's the sponsor?
We got to get you a Dunkin'.
Let me tell you something. They say America runs on Dunkin', Royce runs on Dunkin'. The amount of Dunkin' Donuts I consume in a day is enough to probably affect the stock.
Same here, sitting at work.
Well, listen,
Absolutely.
We joined forces. We got something going on. But, Rob, I'm talking about surveillance, basically, with these open mics, and you have all this drone experience. Where are you at with these drones? You're a firefighter. You're a first responder. Thank you for what you do. But give us some insight from the boots on the ground in Jersey.
Appreciate it, sir. And, yeah, happy to. So last Thursday, we get a call 9 p.m. at night from our local law enforcement. Lady walks out of a grocery store and sees sparks in the sky and claims she sees a drone. Now, mind you, last month we have seen hundreds of these things all over the place. You look up, you're seeing them. 10 minutes later, you're seeing another one. All clarity, we have no idea where they're coming from, even to this day. So, again, we get called out to do a land search. Get there around 9 o'clock, get our guys set up. We start looking in the wood line. Hey, we'll throw a flashlight out there, and we get some reflections back. Okay, cool. Maybe we have something finally that'll kind of end this. 10 guys out there. Nothing's there. Okay, conspiracy theories start all amongst us. Hey, did somebody go move it already? Nah, couldn't have been. We were there within 20 minutes because, again, we're local. Contact our partners. We ended up spending through government ask, government needs, 18 hours standing there, searching, having guys walking, looking for these items. All legitimately, nothing found. Talk about the resource spend. Talk about all the time spent on one account of something that they saw crash in the ground.
Do you think this is a case of maybe 1, 2, even 3 legitimate incidents, which could be non-threatening, all different, and now you just have people seeing things? It almost kind of reminds me of the Loch Ness Monster.
100%. People are looking up to the sky more than ever, which is a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing, and your mind plays tricks on you. Same thing. Okay, so these things are around. Now you have the hobbyists we went a step further that we had to make sure we're clearing the area so that somebody does not walk in, place a drone there, and walk out with it in their hands. So we had to use drones that we have to make sure folks aren't placing drones to actually record that area so they could say, they found it there. Nope, wasn't there.
Look, I think it's great that people are turning their heads to the sky and being observant. You have companies like Walmart. I mean, there was a man in Florida who shot down a Walmart drone. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and now you have, again, you were just here in this tri-state area.
Yes, sir.
All the planes. You have planes reporting lasers being flashed at them now. So now you have legitimate safety concerns of pilots flying aircraft in to make landings.
But if it's a company like Walmart or Amazon or even Domino's, because who doesn't want a pizza delivered by a drone? Can you imagine, like, I'm ordering a pizza on the live, it gets shot out of the sky? I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
But seriously speaking, if you have all these companies doing all of this development, that's got to be indexed somewhere. That's got to be, like, registered with, like, the FAA, no?
That's the interesting part. Now you get into, is this Department of Defense contractors? Because if the government truly doesn't know, and we could go into a whole other subject on that, what's actually happening out there?
We are so wired to not trust our government. And then what happens in a situation like this is they speak with such, like, word play that you can't help but not trust what they're saying. And I think when it's all said and done, there's probably a lot of false reports, if you will, or I shouldn't say false reports, but yeah, you saw something in the sky, but it's nothing to worry about. It's a drone. You know, a lot of people are probably just seeing actual drones that people are playing with in the sky from a distance. And then every so often there's like a legitimate industrial drone up there doing something that's okay. My whole thing is, we live in the world of open data. Why is it we need like one of these somebody's got to be able to pinpoint everything in the sky. Like, why can't we somehow have access to all of that information? People have access to all of our information. We're talking about how we have all these open mics. Like, why isn't somebody charting everything that's up there? Because then you could say, okay, listen, I know that that's just a drone from Amazon. I know that's Walmart testing. I don't know what that one is. And now we've got, just the way we tag wildlife, you know?
And they're doing that in Arizona with delivery. So that time is coming where that could be the new normal. Imagine years ago when the first plane, let alone hundreds of years ago with cars, those type things, of how strange that might have been to where we might be now.
Listen, you've been watching for a while, so you probably know that I used to keep an AirTag in my car. And I because you would park in the Disney World parking lot, you spend 12 hours in Epcot, you might not know where your car is when you leave. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's all different. Yeah, definitely.
Not necessarily me, but somebody else. But I had the AirTag nonetheless. Go solve that riddle. So I put an AirTag in my car so I don't have to worry about where I'm parking and I don't have to drop a pin and all this nonsense. Well, when I sold that car, I forgot the AirTag was in it. And like now I'm tracking the guy that bought my car and I don't want to be. I feel like I'm Walter White in Breaking Bad. You know, because I'm literally watching, like, it keeps updating the car's location and he's driving and I'm like, oh my God. So I messaged the guy and I say, excuse me, I'm sorry, but I would also like my AirTag back. Never responds. I'm like, you know what? You know what? Fine. So I just locked the AirTag. So I lose an AirTag, but I locked it. Now I have no idea where he is. He can't use it. But like, I accidentally started tracking this guy.
Yep.
Now, that means other people have access to his information too, because obviously if I'm sending that information to me, I'm sending it to Apple.
It's out there. It's on a map.
That's crazy.
Yep, it's on a map somewhere.
I didn't mean to do it. So like, and I felt horrible. So I owned it and then was like, well, maybe, he was probably like, weirdo.
And you're 100% spot on when it comes to these devices that we do. And I'm a person of problem too. I bring all these devices in, and I'm all for it. And you come to the point of accepting of, hey, everything's listening to what you say, because you're right. It's trigger words, but it's got to be listening for those trigger words.
I still can't believe that I'm talking to Leah about some digital marble run game on Twitch that would be fun to play. And TikTok's like, oh, you like marbles? We got you. And then it's like the people in their living room playing with actual marbles, and it looked super cool, but it was creeping me out. And then I clicked on it, Rob, and there's like 75 people watching, right? Which is fine, because there's like, that's not the point. There's probably that many people watching right now on TikTok with what we're doing. That's not the point. The point is it's niche, right? So there's a niche for everybody. And now if we have the open data, now I have the mic listening and I know everything Rob likes. Now, like we talked about the other day, I can specifically target you. I used to do advertising in my old business, and these companies would come in and they would talk to me about targeted ads on the internet. I don't think people realize how robust this stuff is. It's crazy.
It's incredible.
But beyond your computer, I can target you in your living room on your television based off of your shopping preferences. I can literally be like, I want to advertise to people that have hit the Amazon website X amount of times over the, you know what I mean? Like you can go down that, you can get that granular with it. So now they have all this information on you because it's no longer the days of Nielsen ratings. We've got direct to consumer access.
And how quickly they can get that and spin that and get it out to that individual that they're targeting.
Yeah, the only problem I have is I'll buy something and then they start advertising it to me and I'm like, you're late. But but it's working, right?
I have it.
Yeah. They're like, we just missed you.
And hey, I think we touched on it in the past. I'm guilty as heck when you're scrolling around and interested in it and it's like, ooh, gotta grab it. You see it a couple times and it just sinks on you to grab something, especially in the middle of the night, et cetera, when you're kind of bored.
Well, it's funny you say that. So I was going to go live at midnight last night to play with this thing I bought off the TikTok shop. You know, TikTok sends me samples. But this was one of those like electric things you turn on and then you like touch it with like a fork or a light and then it creates like, you know, it's like one of those Tesla coil things. And I bought it for like $10 because it looks super cool. I didn't even know really what it was when I bought it. And I never do that kind of stuff, but like it got me. So I was going to go live with it last night, but I couldn't get the music side of it to work because I think it's so cheap, it's not working right. But they got me. And then I go to the shop and the shop is gone. So they probably had their viral video, sold a few million units, and they bounced.
Yep, gone.
And I'm stuck with a Tesla coil. I don't know, man. I look.
Will it float?
Let me just say this, and then I'll let you jump in. You're somebody that your job every day is to respond. You know, Nick, like a brother to me, was a firefighter for the longest time. So I know the stories of how you get called to people's houses, you get called to places where you wind up becoming the glorified babysitter. And it just becomes part of the gig, unfortunately, where you're calling to tell people they don't have a gas leak, they need to turn off their oven. Like, I've heard the stories, right? And they're, like, more common than people even know. So when I think of this drone thing, I just think of this sort of domino effect. And now people are, like, looking, and, oh, I can contribute. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no due diligence. And I can only imagine to the first point you made about the amount of resources wasted now. You just told me you spent 18 hours. So, and I'm not, please don't take this the wrong way, and I know you won't, but think about how that pulled away from somebody else who might have needed your help.
Oh, you're 100%. And the group we have covering for those 18 hours actually in the trenches, well, okay, you're out there doing a land search for 8-hour period, 6-hour period, going in and out. Then you're going to take a break. Well, now you start impacting other towns covering the town you're in. Then those other towns need backup. So you affect everybody's weekend. Again, on good reasons. Hey, that's what we're here for. But you start impacting everybody. So part of a career combo, both career and volunteer side, well, us as volunteers that are out there doing it, man, that affects your family life. That affects your career work-wise. And you're doing it, hey, because you like it. But at the same part, yeah, babysitting is a good way to put it at times, especially when it's contagious of seeing something.
It's weird. It's like it's almost like it went viral, you know?
Yep.
Well, I appreciate what
But
you
man,
do.
Definitely appreciate the new. Thank you. Appreciate your format. Love sitting and listening, and appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to. I've met you a couple times now. Pleasure to have you here. Thank you for sticking with me as we broaden things. I know maybe not the cooking in the kitchen live is for everybody, but I love hearing from you here. And I just think it's a lot of fun the way that we're hanging out and everybody's kind of getting to spend some more quality time together. And it's different and it's fun, and that's all that matters. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely. That's the best part. The fun, relax and chill. So appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
You too. We'll talk soon. Bye. Rob, everybody. So I have to play a clip for you. I told a story, or I alluded to a story, about one of my favorite talk show moments of all time. And it's actually a sequence of moments because on the David Letterman show over the years, a radio host by the name of Jay Thomas, an actor, comedian, comic actor, would come on every Christmas and tell a story. True story. You're on the air. Who's this? Oh, is this just the app being weird again? What's with that? Every Christmas, every holiday season, he would come on to Letterman and he would tell the story. And I only brought it up because we were talking about this format, radio, talk shows, Johnny Carson. So we were having a conversation about this. And this is just, I want to share this with you because so many of you may not know this story, but it is so funny. And I was loading the clip up this morning, and I was laughing so hard at this. So this is not the first time he told the story on the show, but this was a holiday, and it's the holidays, so it's fitting. This is a holiday tradition from the David Letterman show. This is the second David Letterman tradition we're stealing. So thank you, Worldwide Pants. We've done Will It Float, and now we're going to play this clip. But I loved Letterman, the dry sensibility, but this story from Jay Thomas is just legendary, and I'm not even going to give you context. Just listen. This is one of the greatest stories, quite possibly, ever told on the history of television talk.
Off the tree.
Right.
There's another part of the tradition which I love. And
Yes.
to me, this is the single best TV story ever told.
Sure.
By a celebrity on TV.
Well, of course. Of course. I think you're supposed to applaud now, you idiots.
Well,
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
What?
I wouldn't antagonize the audience now after what we've just lived through.
All right. Ready?
Oh, yes, I am ready.
I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina when I was a disc jockey.
Yeah.
And I used to open Dodge dealerships with the Lone Ranger. I would go around and open Dodge dealerships.
Now, when you say the Lone Ranger, it was the real guy.
Clayton Moore, the
Clayton
actual Clayton Moore. He took it very seriously. He was very stoic. We would go. He had the guns. He had the sky blue outfit. He had the hat. He had the mask. He had the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And we would stand. He wouldn't tell us many things. Once I asked him if Tonto really meant stupid in Spanish, and that's why they call the Indian Tonto. And did Kimosabi mean kiss my ass in Navajo? You want to say?
Yeah.
So
took it very seriously.
Very seriously.
Always dressed
met
as
the children.
He
everything
was
else.
the
Right.
Lone Ranger.
I was a long-haired guy. My friend Mike Martin and I would go behind the dumpster during the appearance, and we would get all herbed up.
Right.
And we would continue to be herbed up as the appearance went, So as the appearance drew to a close, we were not sure where we were, or what planet we were on, or what we were doing, or who anybody was, and we didn't even know what car dealership we were at after a while. Mm-hmm. So I was just about to get my old beat-up Volvo to go home, and they didn't have a ride for the Lone Ranger to get back to the Red Roof Inn, which was on Moorhead Boulevard. So he turns to us and he said, "Could someone give?" I said, "We'll give you a ride back." Right. So we put him in my old beat-up Volvo, and he sits in the back, and he's the Lone Ranger.
Got the mask.
He got the mask
everything.
and the hat and the whole thing. And he had to, like, hold his guns to get into the car, you know, and he sits in the back of the car like this. And Mike and I are trying not to act stoned. So we're like, we're going about, 4 miles an hour down, we're not saying a word. We stop. It's, 5 o'clock traffic. This middle-aged guy in a Buick in front of us, he stopped, and all of a sudden he wants to get out of the traffic. He backs into the car. I can hear my headlight crash, and he pulls away, and he runs away, and I go, my God, he busted my car up. So we got to catch it. So I pull out in my Volvo, and I begin to chase him. We got 5 cylinders. I'm chasing him, and in the back, the Lone Ranger is just in the back like this, stoic, not saying a word, just in the back like that, just like that. We chase this guy in the Buick, and we pull in front of him like that, and Mike and I both jump out, and we go, hey, man, you crashed into our car back there. He says, I did not. I said, yes, you did. So Mike gets out, and he goes, yes, you did, man. So we're all saying that to him, and he says, well, really, why don't you call the cops? Who do you think they're going to believe, me or you two hippie freaks? And the Lone Ranger gets out of the car. And he says, they'll believe me, citizen. And the guy says, I didn't know it was you.
Didn't know it was you.
The greatest story. And there's a visual element to him telling that story. I mean, there's a visual element to him telling that story. But, oh, my God, every single time. Don't believe me, citizen. Every year, Shelley, every year, Sue, Jay would tell that story. So every year you would get a slightly different version of that story. And it was a gift. It was a gift. Don't believe me, citizen. Oh, my God. Like, you just, I don't know. There was just television talk. Johnny Carson, David Letterman. I mean, Jay Leno's a nice guy, but not so much Leno for me. I was more of a Carson Letterman guy. I like the dry humor, But, oh, my God, is that not the funniest thing ever? The funniest thing ever. And every year he would come on and he would tell it, and it would just be a slightly modified version. So if you go YouTube those, they're endless. They're endless. They're endless. They're endless. And it's just one of those random things. And I was like, all right, we're talking about the other day, like Don Rickles' appearances on Carson and some of my favorite moments, like with Rickles on Carson. And I wasn't even alive, I just absorbed this stuff as a TV geek. We had this fantastic conversation on the live the other night about television. So I was like, I got to share this clip. And that's what I love about this format, because there's no other reason, no other way to do it. No, imagine I'm on the People Mover playing that. Don't believe me, citizen. Carson was something else. My favorite moment. All right. So I wasn't going to tell this story or even bring this up, but here we are. And I've had the good fortune to have worked this hallway. So the story goes, Don Rickles takes over for Johnny Carson one night. And back then Carson had a cigarette box he's smoking on television. Rickles is playing with Carson's cigarette box, and he breaks it. The next night, Johnny's back, and he sees that he's got a broken cigarette box, and I think it was Ed is like, oh, yeah, the Rickles. And he's filming CPO Sharkey right across the hallway. So Carson takes the mic and the camera and runs through the hallway onto the other sound stage, right? Interrupts the filming of CPO Sharkey, introduces the cigarette box to Rickles. Rickles, begs for an apology. And as Carson's about to leave to go back to doing his show, and again, this is all happening, this is probably a golden age of television, and so he as he's about to leave, Rickles goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Carson." And without missing a beat, Johnny Carson goes, "They know who I am." And it is just one of those moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, everybody got the joke. Everybody wanted to laugh. It was just quip after quip after quip, and it was witty and it was funny and it was sharp, and you didn't worry about upsetting people's feelings. There was no holding back. And it is just one of the funniest moments ever. He's like, "They know who I am." And it didn't come off like narcissistic. It just came off like, how you're introducing me? It's just one of those. And I remember being a page at NBC, and we would go in at the time, Access Hollywood, and I think You Are the Weakest Link. The Weakest Link show filmed in that stage, but they kept the star on the ground where Carson's desk was. It was very cool to be able to say that you stood in Carson's studio, probably a few hundred times, but it was one of just those moments on TV where they're breaking the wall. They're going behind the scenes. They're walking across the hallway into another show. They're just like breaking the illusion. And it's like, does anybody remember? I know we've got a lot of Broadway and theatrical people in the audience, but does anybody remember a show called Noises Off? Noises Off. Noises Off is like a play that takes place on stage and backstage. And when you're watching it, the actors are performing both on and off stage, so it's very meta. It is hilarious. So just, absurd comedy, absurd humor. I wanted to share that clip for no other reason, Melissa, than that. Noises Off is brilliant. Noises Off is so funny. Now, how's this for a segue? Speaking of noises, I'm going to play something I promised I'd play, and I don't really want to. So please call in 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. I was in New York. I stayed with Nick. Nice guy. Thank you for letting me stay on your couch. Not so thrilled about being recorded. Turns out, not only was I having some sort of bad dream, or as you may call it, a nightmare, I call it just another day at the office. So I start screaming in my sleep, and I asked Nick about it the next day after the radio show, and he tells me not only did he hear it, but he has a recording. And I'm like, why are you recording your snoring, number one? And number two, why aren't you telling people when they come into your house and spend the night that they're being surveyed? We're talking about, I just talked to Rob about this. Surveyed, I don't know. You're recording me. Let's not beat around the bush. Just talked about TikTok and Amazon and privacy. And here, my childhood best friend, since the third grade, records my slumber. Now, you're going to have to listen closely, because in this clip, there's a lot of noise. And I think what's happened here is he's isolated my yipping, sleeping experience. And so I don't know if it's white noise or Nick snoring. I don't even hear Nick snoring. I don't know why I don't have a clip of Nick snoring. I feel like that's much more interesting to play. This, just listen. Listen closely. And this is so embarrassing. But if you're going to put yourself out there, you put yourself out there fully. It's more like a wailing. It's more like a wailing. You know, I'm downstairs, he's upstairs, so it's very distant, but it's more like a wailing noise, you know? And it almost sounds like an alarm, Catherine. It sounds like an alarm. You can probably hear that better on YouTube, to be honest. They're going to study that tape for years. I have no idea what was happening. No idea. There you go. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Yoey, for telling me that you would get the clip if I didn't play it. So there you go. It's done. I want to be left alone about it. 253-263-1540. Do you have somebody that's recording their sleep, and why? 253-263-1540. Can't wait to see what the AI voice recorder does with that segment in the minutes. Which, by the way, when we get off of the radio show today, stick around on TikTok, because I am going to take the voice recorder and we are going to read the minutes together right here before the team lift. And I think it will be hilarious to get AI's recap of today's radio presentation. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. I am absolutely addicted to the TikTok shop. I wake up every morning and I have new invites. Now I can pick whatever I want up to a limit of X amount of requests at a time for free samples. But then I get sent invites, which don't count against that. So every morning, I mean, I'm getting sent stuff I don't even ask for, like perfume and like women's clothing. So I don't accept those things because, contrary to popular belief, I don't need either of them. Although there was anyway, that's not the point. So they send a lot of things that I don't want. But sometimes they send some crazy stuff. So I wake up this morning. Listen, you don't even know what they sent in the shop the other day, Rob. I mean, there was a massager in the shop the other day that was very suspect. And I was like, can you imagine this live? But what I'm trying to say, thank you for distracting me, Rob. What I'm trying to say is that they sent me an invite for a sublimation printer for a t-shirt and a sublimation printer for hats. So I had to I was like, oh my God, which one do I want? So I submitted for the t-shirt sublimation. Can you imagine being able to sit there and just make t-shirts? It's like a $300 thing. I'm like, send it to me. Send it to me. I'll make t-shirts and deep fry them. By the way, I got a message from the deep fryer people. And they were like, listen, we sent you this deep fryer. We haven't seen your video yet. And I said, oh, no. I've done hours of deep frying. They were very pleased, very pleased. And then I had an update with my contact over at FlashForge regarding the printer, and expressed that many people have already shown that they are interested in buying it and that it's on my Amazon store. And then she mentioned that she had caught some of the live streams, but because of the time difference, she can't see them all. But she's excited that everybody's excited about the printer. And then I have to reach out to the company about the robotics so that we can start building the animatronics on live. We're going to actually 3D print the parts and then have the motors come in and then be able to provide everybody with the ability to build these animatronics. Fully functioning animatronics that like jump, dance, kick, flip, push-ups, jumping jacks. It's just wild. I would have used it during Live Fest, but one of the motors on one of them needs to be replaced. So very excited for all of these things. Very, very excited. Very, very excited. 253-263-1540. But the TikTok shop is addicting. So I just wake up and I'm like, ooh, what can they send me now? What do I absolutely not need? And then they send it. And I love it. So at some point, I'm going to have like a closet that's just filled with TikTok shop stuff. And I'm either going to be eBaying it or giving it away or I don't know what, because it's just out of control. And then I realized, oh, you should just do like a mega TikTok shop live one night. Like, I have enough products now where I could probably do a full-on QVC live for like 4 straight hours of products because I probably have 50 products from the TikTok shop. And normally I'd say, who wants to watch that? Now I know. You're on the air. Who's this? What? Well, you gotta lower your radio. Hello?
Oh, hi.
Who's this? Kells?
Hi, boys.
Who is this?
Hello.
Who is this?
Oh, hi. Yeah, this is Haley.
Oh, Haley. How are you?
Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You must know Noise is Off.
I do.
Great show.
I've seen it, actually. It's very good.
On Broadway?
No. We are... Our school... my high school did the production of Noises Off, so I've only seen that, but I want to see it on Broadway.
Oh, it's so funny. I don't even know if it's on Broadway anymore, but it's such a great show. But thank you for all your support.
It really is.
And I know you have a podcast and everything, but tell me, introduce yourself to the audience and tell me a little bit about your podcast.
Oh, hello to everyone that is listening. I have a podcast. It's called Part of Your Broadway World podcast. It's a mixture of Disney and Broadway. So I do both. And like I sometimes do either just Broadway or just Disney, but I also do Broadway and Disney intersecting things, like the Disney on Broadway shows.
I love that. How long have you been doing it, and how often do you do it?
A little over a year now. And I do it every other week. I do it every other Wednesday.
Very cool. And are you in school? Is that what you said?
No.
Okay. I have no idea. I mean, listen, I got to know you over the weekend. So to me, I don't know even how long you've been watching. You're a new audience member. For all I know, you've been watching for years.
No, actually, that weekend you and I met was the first time.
That is so funny. Well, welcome. I love that you're here.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So you started this podcast because of your love of Broadway. Did you grow up doing theater, or like what? Give me a little bit of backstory.
Actually, no. I grew up watching a lot of theater because our local musical theater, it's like an hour away from actually no, not even an hour away from us, and so I get to go to the theater a lot and watch shows. And then when COVID when COVID opened everything back up, I made the decision to start ushering at our theater, so I see a bunch of shows for free.
Smart move. That's smart.
Yeah.
What is your favorite show?
Jagged Little Pill.
What?
Jagged Little Pill.
Oh, Jagged Little Pill. You know what? That's funny.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
It's so good.
I can't even tell you the last time I've seen a show. I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm old. I remember seeing like Smokey Joe's Cafe on Broadway. Like, I love musical revivals on Broadway. You know, just an excuse for good music.
Yeah.
Those are always really fun.
We're going to New York next year. I really want to go see Death Becomes Her.
I want to go see Wicked again on Broadway. Is that wrong?
Oh no, I plan to go see Wicked on Broadway.
Like, I haven't even seen the movie.
You need to go see it, Royce. Please go see it.
I know. Everybody keeps telling me, but there's never time.
For me, just go see it for me.
Go see. I will see it for you. I will see it for you and report back. I'm dying to see Wicked. You don't even know.
I've seen it 3 times.
Oh my Lord. Kenzie's seen it like 50 times, maybe 3. But still, yeah, everybody's seen it a bunch of times. Here I am. I haven't seen it at all. And I'm just a musical theater geek. Like, I grew up on this stuff. I went to Frenchwood's Festival of the Performing Arts. So I spent 9 weeks every summer in theater camp, and every 3 weeks we would put up multiple productions across the camp, across 3 theaters, full-scale productions, like full-scale productions. It was like a stage door type camp. It was a very, very intense program, and every 3 weeks they would cast all of these shows. It would be a massive campus-wide audition process. And then they would cast all these shows, and they'd put them up in less than 3 weeks. So you would be doing anything from Romeo and Juliet to Pirates of Penzance to Les Mis to Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat to She Loves Me to Once on This Island. Like, you would be doing all of these shows simultaneously and putting them up in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild. I loved it as a kid. And then I had to go back to school where it was like all the money went to the football program, and we had Crayola paints for the theater productions. I'm not bitter. I'm just telling you a story.
No, you don't sound bitter at all.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Trapdoors in the stage, and we did noises off and built these giant 3-level sets, and we would strike them at midday and then put them back up at night for a show. It was the amount of work was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Frenchwoods Festival.
No, you don't sound bitter at all.
No, it's just the sound. It's just you're misinterpreting my bitterness. But it was, you know what I'm saying? There's not. I was raised on the arts, but for me, where I came from, I felt like all of the money went to the sports programs. And I'm not knocking that. But there was never enough money for the arts.
Can I knock that? Because sports are boring.
Right?
Sports are boring.
So what is your next episode, and what do you plan to talk about? Next episode next Wednesday or the following?
My next Wednesday. It's on Christmas. We're doing a Christmas episode. We're talking about the Grinch.
Next Wednesday is Christmas?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
What am I going to do for Christmas? Well, that'll be fun. All right, so I want everybody to go follow your podcast wherever they listen to podcasts. Do you just do audio? Do you do a YouTube thing, or?
Yeah, we're on YouTube, and I do both. We're on Apple Podcasts at Part of Your Broadway World Podcast, and we're also on YouTube with the same handle.
Can I be a guest in your podcast?
Sure.
You can interview me or something?
Sure. Just hit me up on TikTok or,
No,
other
you have your people call my people.
My people with me.
Same. I appreciate talking to you. Welcome. It's so nice. This is what I love about what we just did over the weekend. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to keep moving. But we'll talk again, okay?
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, okay. Merry Christmas.
How sweet. So I was thinking the other day about this whole thing. The first live fest that we did was it was very battle driven. And even though we did the battles, but we didn't really do the battles kind of thing. This was so based on subs and heavily based on subs. And at the same time, by real sheer coincidence, we've been talking about broadening and widening what we do. And it's so cool to me that because what we just did with this live fest was sub-based, that a whole bunch of people have been welcomed in and brought into this community in a different way and through a different series of streams than the norm. And it wasn't some grand plan. It just worked out that way. And sometimes that's why you just have to trust the process, and you just have to show up, and you just have to know that if you remain dedicated, if you remain committed, and you stay true to yourself, that things will line up. It's not luck. It's just a byproduct of hard work. So now someone like Haley, who just called in, who didn't even know that this channel existed a week ago, is calling in and knows my name. And I'm like, how cool is that? That's only a product of bringing in all these new viewers, which inadvertently has helped widen what we do and widen the audience and broaden the conversation. And it was just a super valuable proposition that I didn't even know we were going to do. And I look at these things and I go, it's amazing how sometimes things just happen and they work out the way they're meant to be. That is very sweet, Caitlin. Thank you. So, it's cool because it's not that I want to get away from the parks. I'm actually really looking forward to getting to the park. I've been wanting to get to the park these last couple days, but I candidly have been exhausted. Exhausted. I didn't even come back on last night to do that last little live with the electrical coil thing I was talking about with Rob because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do and I was exhausted. I started 15 minutes early this morning because I thought maybe I could get off 15 minutes early because I'm exhausted. So I want to get into the park. It's not about abandoning the park, right? It's just this quality over quantity thing. And I just am getting to do things with this audience that I would have never done before. And it's only because the audience has allowed me to and not pressured me, despite what people think last night was not pressure. That was just banter. And I was going to cut the live, but Leah produced it. And I was like, well, I can't cut the live now. We've got the momentum. And she solved the problem. And only a fool would cut the live, right? Only a fool would cut the live. So you just kept going. You just keep going. You're like, oh, I thought I was going to take a break, but we're just going to keep pushing. And you just make it work. And it's just been a wild experience. And I just thought, oh my gosh, look at what we just did with this Live Fest thing. All these subs gifted. You may look and go, well, at any one given time, you had 150 people at most watching, but that's thousands of people coming in and out all day long. So there are 3,000 new subscribers we've brought into this channel in less than 5 days. 3,000 new subscribers we brought to this channel in just a few days. So welcome aboard. Welcome, Haley. Now, speaking of last night's live, if you're ready to spice up your kitchen this holiday season, Pampered Chef has all the goodies from spatulas and mandolins to amazing pots, pans, and knives. Plus, don't miss out on small appliances like the deluxe air fryer and coffee maker to make your holiday cooking a breeze. Reach out to Colleen Herman, pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman, pamperedchef.com/PWS /Colleen Herman. Are you on vacation and the unthinkable happens? Have you been injured in an accident? Don't wait to get the help you deserve when you need it the most at the law offices of Nicole M. Kennedy. They fight for your rights and work tirelessly to get you the compensation you deserve. They're here to guide you through every step. So call now, 305-213-5438. 305-213-5438 for a free consultation today. You don't pay unless they win. The law office of Nicole M. Kennedy. Last minute shipping from the park. Did you impulsively buy a lightsaber and now you don't know how you're going to get it on the airplane? Don't worry. My friends at the UPS store have you covered at 6526 Old Brick Road, located just behind the Magic Kingdom. They will help you with last-minute shipping. They will help you with notaries. If you need a P.O. box, if you're local, they have you covered. the UPS store located at 6526 Old Brick Road. And of course, William Bailey, a long-time viewer, a good friend, William Bailey Travel is available to help you with any travel planning you may need, whether it's a destination vacation, a Disney cruise, or just a cruise, or maybe just Disney. William Bailey provides a customizable experience at a competitive rate. So check out William Bailey Travel. You can go to my website to fill out the travel form, or William.bailey at academytravel.com, William.bailey at academytravel.com. And sometimes we are so worried about this life in this moment, we forget to plan for the life of those we leave behind. With no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high taxes, probate fees, and an incomplete or divided estate, and legal fights and fees. A will or trust is not just for the Rockefellers anymore. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law today to make an appointment and safeguard the future of those you love. Send an email to Russell at rklawpro.com to schedule your appointment. That's Russell at rklawpro.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing. From Galoob. I went to the UPS store to ship out prizes yesterday, and I slipped on a banana peel. And I didn't fall. You know, it's language is a funny thing. I mentioned on Instagram stories that I slipped, and everybody heard I fell. No, I slipped. I park in the parking spot, which sounds like an obvious thing, but people like to curb park at the UPS store. But I parked in a parking spot, and I open my door, and I put my foot down. I'm not looking, because usually the ground is just right there. But this time there was something between my foot and the ground, and it was a banana peel, and it was right where my foot landed. It wasn't 2 feet to the right. It wasn't 2 inches to the left. It was literally right underneath my foot, like something out of a bad cartoon, and down goes my foot, and my foot slips, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And as I'm trying to get out of the car, and I can't make solid contact with the ground, this is all happening in an eighth of a second, mind you. I'm like, oh my God, it's a banana peel. I just slipped on a banana peel. I didn't fall. I regained my balance in an eighth of a second. It was all so quick. And I was like, oh my God, who slips in a banana peel? And then I was like, who left this banana peel right where the car door opens? That is so spiteful. Like, did you line that banana up with your car door first before you left? Is that what you did? Or did you just eat a banana and drop it out your car door because you're lazy? Right where the next guy's going to step. So I slipped on a banana peel outside the UPS store, located on Old Brick Road right behind the Magic Kingdom. Wild. I didn't know that actually happened. I thought that was just a joke. And by the way, it was slippery. Like that, it was slippery. It wasn't just like I stepped on a banana peel. I slipped on it. It was legitimately slippery, and I'm blown away. I thought it was just a saying. I thought it was just a thing that happened in the cartoons. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody slipped on a banana peel one day and just added it into a cartoon, and here we are. Who knew? I was shocked. I was like so impressed. I was like, this banana, wow, it's really living up to the hype. Listen, you know we're running out of things to talk about if that's where we're at. And then I get off the air yesterday. Before I even get to the point in my day where I slip on a banana peel, I get a phone call from Keena. Why is Keena calling me? Not that I don't want Keena to call me, but Keena doesn't call me. And she goes, did you hear about the TikTok drama? Excuse me? Did you hear about the TikTok drama? Doc Compton, who? She starts telling me this whole story about Live Fest drama. I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Why are you telling me? Is this really Keena? And I made the comment yesterday, like my mind will be blown the day that Keena's on Twitch. You know, if we ever start like simulcasting on Twitch and whatever. And here she is completely shocking me with some Live Fest. She's like, yeah, this Doc Compton, he crank call. He talks to scammers. I'm like, that's hilarious. I don't know what's going on. I don't care. I'm all about just like, hey, like, you know, like Amber. I don't know Amber. Super nice. Her people came in. They were super sweet, so we were super sweet back. What, are you going to be rude because people come in and they're nice? No, you're super sweet back, right? So then he's like, you know, hey, congratulations, you got this. You jump in, I say hi. Then her husband jumped in the live and he subscribed. I'm like, we don't know each other. We've never met. But here we all are. It's so much easier to be polite towards people and nice towards people and warm towards people and supportive of people, even strangers. If you feel threatened by the competition, you may have already lost. If you feel threatened by the competition, you may already have lost. (253-263-1540). 253-263-1540. So that was wild. Not just Keena calling me, but calling me with that kind of nonsense. I'm like, Keena, I don't care. I just want to reiterate something I said at the top of the program because I think it's really, really valuable. There's been a lot of speculation about the future of TikTok. And I want to just recap this. So stick with me if you already heard this. But the short version, as told to me by TikTok executives, when we were there just a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, even if the app is banned, the app doesn't just go away. Now, a lot of this is common sense, but I don't think a lot of people know how some of these things work. So it may be common sense for those in the know. But let me just explain. If TikTok were to be banned tomorrow, the app doesn't go away. The app goes away from the App Store. And normally you can download an app even once it goes away from the App Store. In this case, my understanding is you wouldn't have that ability because it would be banned. So having the app downloaded now, having an updated version of the app on a second device is going to bridge the gap. Because what will happen over time is that the user experience will start to degrade when you can't update the app because it's not available in the App Store. What will also happen with the benefit of time is that perhaps a new administration comes in and reverses course. Now, that again is predicated on a whim because much like any other politician, you know, they say one thing, they do another, and their opinions are always flip-flopped depending on the weather. So one can hope, but this is the world we live in. So with all of that being said, a TikTok ban does not mean the lights go out. A TikTok ban means that the user experience will slowly be reduced over time. So I encourage those who are worried to make sure you have it downloaded with the most updated form of the app and continue to do so up until the last minute and make sure you have it backed up on a different device. Capiche? It's not going away like that. Phone systems really put me on the struggle bus today. 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. But I told you, I want to go to the parks, but I'm exhausted. Like, I think I'm going to get off the air today, maybe even a little early, and take a nap. You know, I'm just at that point where we've been running, and I'm fine with it. I love it. I love every minute of it. I've been having the time of my life. I've been having more fun in the last few days on this live than I have had in the parks in 4 years. And I've had some real fun in the parks. Okay? So that is not a knock at the parks. It's just, to quote Jamie, it's all business in the parks, partially because I don't want to impede on the user experience, the guest experience, and I refuse to be one of those people that is going to be loud and obnoxious while sitting on a ride, so I don't talk, which means I'm not engaging. And then I'm usually trying to get from one ride to the next. And then it's back on the ride and you're not engaging. So then, in between rides, the most you can really do is answer the questions that are being asked, which at that level are, where are we? What's next? Where are you going later? Are you park hopping? What's the temperature? Why are you sad? Do you hate Disney now? Are you married? Why don't you have a real job? You know what I mean? So at a certain point, like, then that's it. And then there's no conversation. It's just, by the way, those were all questions from Ellis. 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. Ellis said he's going to call in a little bit because Ellis likes to, whenever Ellis has really good ability to sense when I'm at a lull and then call in. And like even last night when I didn't need him to call in, he was like, I'm calling in. This is my moment. Got to promote the Ellis brand. And then boom, Ellis calls in. And I'm like, Ellis, you're not even supposed to be in this segment. Check the call sheet. And Ellis is like, no. There was a rewrite at the last minute. Check your sides. And I'm like, no, Ellis. I don't use sides. I'm a pro. I improv. And he's like, no. I'm an executive producer. Put me on the air. So Ellis, with all that vamping, why haven't you called in yet? 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. He's something else. And then I called Ellis the other day, and he goes, thank you for sending me the space, Mickey. I said, you got it. No problem. There's just one small thing. And he goes, well, what's that? I said, I had to cut it in half. And he just starts giggling. And he goes, why? I go, it wouldn't fit in the package any other way. And he just starts giggling. So then I just start giggling. And he's like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, no, I didn't. But it's a funny idea. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, okay, bye. And he's like, okay, bye. And that's it. And it just cracks me up. Nobody else is listening. Dude, why haven't you called in yet? Help me out, bro. I'm like, I'm on my last fumes. 253-263-1540. 253-263-1540. I really am. I have the stamina to talk for 3 hours, but with what I would say at this point, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I don't.
Hey now.
I know.
Hey now. All right,
that's enough. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Royce, it's Christy.
Hi, Christy. Oh, thank you for calling in. I feel like a fish out of water right now. I'm flapping on the deck.
Well, you had a pretty rough weekend. I mean, you're really going hard with it, so
I can't.
kudos to you.
Christy,
there's times I was like asleep watching the phone, and all of a sudden I'd wake up going, oh my God, he's still on.
like, what did we just do? Like, I mean, like, do you remember when I told you I wouldn't tell you that story on the air, and now here we're here?
Yeah. Well, I remember the Live Fest from last year, and we were all of us were like wore out after that. And I remember telling you that to your face when I met you. It was like, oh gosh. And some of the stuff you were telling me, I'm like, don't talk to me for at least 6 months about Life Fest. You were just cracking up laughing, but that, we pulled through. We did good.
But I'm telling you, and I know there's a certain group out there, and I don't really care, I'm just stating something, that doesn't believe me, but I had no intention on doing Live Fest this year. And then we wound up getting to keep pushing through and like when I saw the second opportunity from the meeting, and then the audience shows up, and then once you're in it, you're like, well, we just made the top 20. We're going to stop now. Now we got to keep going. But I didn't even think about how the sub aspect plugged in perfectly with what I've been trying to do.
Well, it wasn't a factor last year.
No, not only was it not a factor,
but
I didn't even.
It wasn't a factor.
Right, but I didn't even think about it from like, look, I put a lot of thought into this channel, I really do. And then there's the side where you just let it ride. And that was one of those moments that just things fell in place just by the virtue of showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things, you didn't have to run around like a madman at the park to prove anybody.
No, I don't think we could. Look, I don't think we could have gotten that far. If you remember last year, like with the battling and stuff, how often were we just sitting somewhere? So,
yeah,
we
were in parking lot.
Right, and there was point multiples and all, so whatever. So, and look, I know for some people they just think it's all ridiculous. What I like about it, particularly this year, was that it was a way to bring in a lot of new viewers, and Haley just calling was proof of that. But what's on your mind?
Yeah. I wanted to talk about those ridiculous drones that are flying all over our country, and the government is acting like, well, you know, it's a shiny object. We're not sure. We think it's somebody privately, but why reports are supposedly coming out that they're going over our air bases of military, isn't that all restricted airfield sort of stuff? And shouldn't all that stuff be shot out of the sky?
I don't know if we want to encourage everybody to start shooting at the sky. That's my fear. You know, I mean, we've already got people propping up this Luigi. Like, we just don't need to be. I mean, I'm afraid for that inflection point. You know,
that's another ridiculous thing is that idiot, and women just swarming all over it, thinking he's the next thing, you know, to slice bread, which is absolutely appalling and mind blowing for me. But you know, you got it all the way around of idiots in the world.
Unfortunately,
it's one of those things. Is I find it, I don't know how to phrase it right, but in my mind, as I'm looking at it, is for a military standpoint, if there is something over your base, our base, as a country, our base, why is there not more swift actions? I don't care if it's Joe up the street that's just playing around with his drone.
Well, here's my thing. If the
depending
government,
on the signs, all those are supposed to be licensed and registered.
Right, but and we were talking to Rob about this earlier, but if the government's not shooting them down, then the government knows what they are, which means we're just not being told any more information. Otherwise, they would have been shot down.
Which then is not, and that's not, you know, shocking.
No, it's not shocking, but I also think there's probably a case of a lot of this being false reporting. Not false reporting, but I think what happens is there's a hysteria. There's a mass hysteria that takes place. So now you have one or two legitimate drone sightings that may have been non-threatening, that may have been the government doing whatever they need to do, or may have been a private entity with a registered drone doing what they need to do, no problem. But now more people are looking up, so now more people are reporting. And now you just have this domino effect of what I will call false reports. Okay, but it's kind of like the UFO. You know, the term UFO, unidentified flying object, was meant literally as a term for unidentifiable flying objects. But now if you say UFO, it's a spaceship. So I just think people need to calm down.
Little aliens, yeah.
I think if people need to calm down, and if the government hasn't shot it out of the sky, then they know what it is. And I'm of the mindset that most of this stuff isn't a problem. And maybe there's a few government drones up there, but how is that a shock to anybody? We've been launching satellites into the sky for as long as I can remember. So I just don't understand. It's just hysteria for the sake of hysteria. And I think people need to just calm down. Like, you don't need drones in the sky to steal your privacy. You have an Amazon device in your kitchen. Chill out.
That's true. Well, that's, you know, it's all those theories, as you were saying, is, you know, like people getting the vaccination, and, you know, when all that was coming out, oh, yeah, they're putting chips in and blah, blah, blah. My younger brother and I would have a running joke because I had to get, you know, the vaccine to go back to work and all that. And he called me the one day and he goes, well, did you get your shot? I go, yeah, I went. He goes, good. He goes, so you should get all your registration papers shortly. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Don't call me again.
It's just,
but, you know, again, it's all the misinformation that goes around. And this is why I don't like watching the news or hearing the news. And like that idiot in New York that shot that guy, hearing some of this blow back on some of the stuff, I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
You know,
and the fact that now with social media, people are not only propping this guy up like he's some sort of like cult hero, but they're then like tweeting out the names of other CEOs as if this is the way to get resolution. And look, you've lost the plot if you think that that's the answer. And if you can't get through to your legislators, then elect new legislators. And if you don't like your options, run for office. I'm sorry. In my 20s, I was way more angry, and I would have been right there rooting this guy along. But at this age, all I can simply say is that we have rules and we have parameters to create change in this country. And if all you can do is sit on your couch and stuff your face with Haagen-Dazs and Tasty Cakes and not run for office and not try to affect change and play the game to change the game, then stop complaining about the game.
Well, but that's where you get those, what is it, the
Thank
keyboard pirates that in a sense just sit there and just click, 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 and, thinking that they're making a difference in the world. You're just creating more noise.
That's what I'm
sometimes you have to
saying.
get physical and get out there. And I agree with you because I'm a little bit older than you, but that generation I understand. I mean, and the way that technology is twisted and changed, it's not technically made it better. It's almost made it worse in some retrospects. And things have just like gone sideways quicker than I thought I'd ever see it.
I don't want anyone to think that I was using Tasty Cake as a pejorative. I'm from the Philadelphia suburbs. So I just want to, just in case, I don't want to lose a Tasty Cake sponsorship along the way here, Christy. The French apple pies, delicious. The eclair pies, delicious. Yes. The peanut butter candy cakes, delicious. So the jelly crimpets, the butterscotch crimpets. So I just want to be very clear that was no shade at Tasty Cake. Thank you.
Listen,
Love me some Tasty Cake.
Trust me, I would defend you. I defend you. I've had those Tasty Cakes. They're good. They're better than up here in the Michigan area, which is the Hostess.
No, Hostess is garbage. Listen, every so often everybody wants a Twinkie.
Since they've lost, yes.
No, and no. The Tasty Cake is legit. I mean, look, let's be honest. It's Tasty Cake, Entenmann's, and then Hostess is like, what about me? All right? Tasty Cake, Entenmann's, then maybe Hostess. But Hostess is so, like, conveyor belt. Like, even though that they're all that way, I feel like Tasty Cake still, those pies have a homemade quality. There's something about an Entenmann's. But, I don't know, like, Drake's and Hostess to me just felt very, like, stock,
Listen, I went on a trip one time with my sister. We went down to Philly, and she had somebody she worked with, and he was just like, "Oh my God, you got to get this and this." We went in there, and we were coming out with like a basket full of cakes and pies and all that stuff. The people thought we were like crazy, or basically crazy, yeah. And so we come back, and my sister has like shopping bags full of these tasty cakes and pies. And I remember driving back to Michigan, and we're trying it. I'm like, "Oh my God, you got to try this one. Oh my God, you got to try this one."
But the French apple pie with the raisins in it.
Good.
Oh my God! And look, it's all processed garbage, right? At the end of the day, but if I'm if I'm picking my poison is Tasty Cake.
Oh, I can agree with you. Yeah, I can't debate you on that because, like I said, Hostess sucks. Entenmann's, but overall, I'm not a big that type of cake person. But
yeah,
like I said, I can't deny that. But
give me my cannolis and my tiramisu.
Yeah, hands down, I'm all in on that then.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. Still waiting for you to make the tiramisu, by the way. I just thought I'd put it out there.
Yeah. Now, what are we going to stand around and watch the lady fingers soak? Is that what we're doing?
Well, you can soak them the night before.
Oh, it's like a real cooking show now.
You can prepare this.
Hey, listen, my bread came out really good last night.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah. It was more of like a cake, and I used a muffin pan, but they came out really, really nice.
Oh, so they're like cake balls in a sense.
No, well, they're like cupcakes. They were like literally like muffins. They're good. They're delicious. Thank you, Colleen.
Well, when you do your tiramisu, we'll have to send you a trifle to put it in, and make sure it's all legit.
Oh yeah. There we go. Yeah, let's just call me Giada. No, all right. Listen, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Oy vey, Izmir. Christy's hilarious. It is what it is. the evolution of the channel, I know people are like, well, what about the parks? What about the parks? We'll get there. What can I tell you? Name change? I don't know. Not worried about it. Really don't care. Focused on the podcast, focused on building the community, focused on these conversations, focused on getting some new guests in the year, some solid guests to talk to about some real issues. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to start this wasn't just to talk to the audience, but to start to bring people on that could inform, you know, and I'm really looking to booking some guests that I think will not just have an impact on the listeners, but I myself hope to learn a few things. So there's some folks I've been talking to that said they'll come on after the holidays, and I'm looking for some more folks, and I'm reaching out, and we're doing our best. There's only so much time in the day, but getting on guests and being able to have conversation with people that are, you know, that actually know the answers, so we're not just sitting here speculating. But you got to start. You got to have build it. You know, create the frequency, create the audience. You know, get into a groove, and then we can have somebody on. And then let's get somebody on that can actually answer the questions. So instead of speculating about drones in the sky and whether we should shoot them out of the sky and feeding into hysteria, we can actually have a rational dialogue, a rational conversation about something like that. Because what I fear is that, like I said a moment ago, when you're looking to the sky and everyone's looking to the sky, then everybody's seeing something now, right? Because there's enough to see. And then if people are like, well, we should take it into our own hands, much like the Luigi situation, now you got people in the streets with guns, shooting CEOs, people shooting random objects out of the sky. Where is the sanity? If you really want to get to the bottom of things, put the work in. So I want to put the work in to have the conversation with the people that actually are in the know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be in the know. I can opine, but that's merely opining. I think we start to get folks on here. We start to have real conversation. We start to take those pieces of those conversations and push them out there on TikTok and other platforms, and we start to bring in new people to the conversation, and that's how we are going to grow. That's how we're going to get this podcast, this radio presentation into the top 20. Our goal this time next year is for this program to be in the top 20 of podcasts. And we're going to do that by widening the conversation, by having conversation that may not be necessarily easy to have, but informative. And that is what's important to me, because for all the years spent in the parks, you inevitably have to say, what is next? You can't do that forever. And there's far more important things in the world to be talking about. And I just love that we're finally doing this with your support, and I thank you for that. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way. 253-263-1540, 253-263-1540. I'm going to read the ads. I'm going to do the sponsors one more time, and I am going to cut down this radio show and hang with you on TikTok just for a little bit. We're going to do an AI transcription, but I'm going to wrap up the radio side of this presentation a little early today. A bit early today, actually, but that's okay. So 253-263-1540, that is the number. That is our number. You can write that down. We do the show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning. We start around 8:30 a.m. Kenzie and I do a pre-recorded podcast presentation over the weekend. So you get 4 podcasts every week. Under the Influence, wherever you listen to your podcast. That name will change eventually. Under the Influence, wherever you listen to your podcast. About 4 episodes a week, give or take. I have an interview with Joshua L. Harris that was out last week or the week before. I have a cast member behind the scenes anonymous interview that will be coming out soon. I need a little more time to finish that edit. We're going to have a series of those cast member interviews coming out and kind of pulling back the curtain on that. Are you ready to spice up your kitchen this holiday season? Pampered Chef has all the goodies from spatulas and mandolins to amazing pots, pans, and knives. Plus, don't miss out on small appliances like the deluxe air fryer and coffee maker to make your holiday cooking a breeze. Reach out to Colleen Herman, pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman, pamperedchef.com/PWS/Colleen Herman. Are you on vacation and the unthinkable happens? Have you been injured in an accident? Don't wait to get the help you deserve when you need it the most at the law offices of Nicole M. Kennedy. They fight for your rights and work tirelessly to get you the compensation you deserve. They're here to guide you through every step. Call now, 305-213-5438 for a free consultation. 305-213-5438 for a free consultation today. The law offices of Nicole M. Kennedy. Last minute shipping from the park. Go check out my friends at the UPS store located at 6526 Old Brick Road, located right behind the Magic Kingdom. They're going to help you out with not just shipping from the parks, but if you're local, they have a notary and P.O. boxes as well. That is the UPS store located right behind the Magic Kingdom at 6526 Old Brick Road. You can always reach out to William Bailey. William Bailey Travel will help you with all of your vacation planning. William.bailey at academytravel.com. William.bailey at academytravel.com for all of your travel needs. And sometimes, we are so worried about this life in this moment, we forget to plan for the life for those we leave behind. With no estate plan, you could be leaving those you love the most with high probate, taxes, fees, and an incomplete or divided estate, legal flights, and fees. A will or trust, not just the Rockefeller anymore. If you live in Florida, contact RK Law today to make an appointment and safeguard the future of those you love. Send an email to Russell at rklawpro.com, Russell at rklawpro.com, Russell at rklawpro.com to schedule your appointment today. How's that for a fast read? Sometimes I just like to read it really fast and see if I can do it. I want to thank all of our sponsors. You know, we are almost, I think, 25 episodes or more into this podcast. Somebody can go count them really quick and tell me. But we're something like 25 episodes in just a short period of time. And we have 5 flagship sponsors. I hope they'll all be with us in the new year. I'll extend the same offer to them as flagship sponsors. But if you want to join as a new sponsor, you can reach out to me as well. There's a form that Kenzie set up. We can drop it on the Discord. If somebody pings me the form, I'll put it out on Instagram. If you want to advertise on the podcast in the new year, reach out to me. We'd love to have you. But I think we're at about 25 episodes so far in just a short period of time. And what I like about that is not every episode is going to be the same length. Not every episode is going to be gold. Not every episode is going to be entertaining. I can't help that, right? I'm a human being. Some episodes might even be, dare I say, boring. However, it's all there. It's all indexed. And we continue to grow. And as we start to bring in guests and have new opportunities to have new conversations, people are going to look and see a catalog. They're going to see a catalog of shows. They're going to see a commitment to the production. They're going to see a commitment to the frequency and a commitment to the output. They're going to see that we are working to build something. It is not just a podcast once a week. It is not just talking into a microphone. It is talking to you. We've got Kenzie on the weekends. It is having a conversation. We start to bring those guests in, and we just level up. So we're getting there. We're building one step at a time, one step at a time. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time.